Disney spent roughly $150 million to bring the world of Frozen to theaters. Meanwhile, a standard 60-second animated commercial for television can easily run $30,000. When we watch digital animation, the polish and precision make the process look deceptively simple. We often imagine an artist simply feeds designs into a computer, hits a giant render button, and lets the machine do the heavy lifting. The reality comes down to raw math. Film and video typically run at 24 frames per second. That means a single minute of animation requires exactly 1,440 individual frames. Behind each one, someone must dictate the exact lighting, physical movement, and camera placement. Your animation budget funds a network of lighters, riggers, and modelers who must manually define every detail of a digital environment, one frame at a time. That human labor is most concentrated right at the beginning, during pre-production. This is the blueprint phase, where writers script the narrative, concept artists establish the look, and directors map out every shot on storyboards. Tweaking a character's dialogue or changing a camera angle during this stage is cheap. You erase a sketch and you redraw it. This flowchart illustrates the dense management overhead required once animation begins. The workflow splits into specialized tasks. If a director demands a structural change midway through, the system bottlenecks. Layout artists stop, animators restart, and downstream departments must throw out their work and wait. Studios pour massive amounts of money into their initial blueprints, specifically to prevent this chaos. A well-funded pre-production phase acts as an insurance policy against the financial drain of late-stage revisions. To keep budgets manageable, studios often rely on specific stylistic choices. Two-dimensional motion graphics, for instance, utilize digital rigging. Artists build characters like digital puppets, allowing them to manipulate movements without drawing every single frame by hand. Three-dimensional animation operates on a completely different scale of complexity. Building a 3D scene requires modelers to sculpt the raw objects, texture artists to paint the surfaces, and riggers to construct the invisible digital skeletons that allow those models to move. Each of these steps requires a dedicated specialist. In the United States, hiring top-tier talent for these roles can easily cost upward of $125 an hour. To survive these labor costs, the industry adapted decades ago. American studios began shifting their animation production to overseas markets, first to Japan and eventually to South Korea, India, and the Philippines. This global shift can compress a $100 million feature film budget down to $15 million. Securing a minute of high-quality animation requires tapping into a sprawling, globally coordinated supply chain. And once the visual work is finally finished, the production faces another reality. Raw animation is completely silent. Audio engineers must build the entire soundscape from absolute zero. They record and sync every footstep, every sharp intake of breath, and every rustling leaf. Simultaneously, the visual files must undergo rendering. The computer has to mathematically calculate how light bounces off surfaces, how gravity affects cloth, and how shadows fall across a face. Processing a single high-fidelity 3D frame can take a standard computer hours to complete. To hit delivery deadlines, studios rent processing time on massive supercomputers known as render farms. The immense amount of electricity and specialized hardware required to power these data centers creates a strict financial floor. Even if you eliminate human labor costs entirely, the physical computing power guarantees that animation will never be free. We are currently seeing generative AI tools drastically reduce the time and cost needed to create rapid visual prototypes, but these tools cannot yet replace a studio pipeline. They lack the frame-by-frame precision required to execute a specific directorial vision or maintain strict corporate brand consistency over a 3-minute video. Despite all the technological leaps in software and processing power, professional animation remains a bespoke, heavily human-curated product. It requires constant oversight and manual correction. When you invest in animated production, you are paying for nearly a century of artistic trial and error, carried out by a global team of specialists who know how to harness cutting-edge computing power. The exorbitant price tag is the true, unavoidable cost of manipulating 1,440 frames a minute to make the audience believe that the impossible is real.